Settle in, find a good seat. And for me, that often means taking the seat that I think is good and then sinking down into the pelvic floor a little bit further back on the prop. And oftentimes that doesn't place my knees exactly like where I thought they should be, it's like lower. But I'll remind you, having your knees level with the top of your hip bone is a good thing. Having the knees higher could put excess rounding like in your lower back. And having your knees lower could put excess curvature in your back. Both tend to have an effect on your hip flexors. So you want to make that sort of your place to drop into and see, can you soften in this area of your body? What can you do to support yourself? Today's practice is called the clear path. And I think we really just have choice in life. And it's how do we choose the path forward? How do we make the appropriate choices for ourselves in such a way that we include what we're experiencing, what we're going through, what is real, what is sort of the dominant underbelly of who you are in this moment, where you carry forward a little bit of yourself from yesterday and you know that there's something new opening up into tomorrow. And if we can keep it just super simple, there is love and there's fear. And if we open up and just see and kind of ask, and neither of them are inherently wrong. One is not better than the other. One just opens up a more clear resonance within ourselves, and the other one asks us to address what is stirring up the pot and what we're looking at and feeling, and having to incorporate in such a way that, yes, this is true, and how am I going to carry that forward in a way that is in service? And so I'm just invite you to take a deep exhale and let yourself arrive in the moment. The body will tense and grip. When it's in fear, it will contract. And so just see how you can let go of any surface tension. Let it go. And then start to find that deeper inner resource that's going to hold you. It's the light of love, really. It's the strength. It comes from pure potential, and it unfolds through its benevolence, and then it helps sustain us. And then it also knows when it's time to let something go and recede. So there's this really beautiful core of you, and that's what we're going to work on today. Can we be held in the core and let that inner resource, that inner strength, allow the rest of you to sort of open up and shine. So draw your hands to your heart. Give yourself a few breaths to really drop into the rhythm of your breath. And try not to force. Allowing each exhalation to create a sense of release, and each inhalation to create a sense of remembrance of that inner light. So we take the familiar mantra, the Shiva mantra. It's a Sanskrit mantra that encapsulates pretty much everything I've just taken 10,000 words to express. So we get to open up to that light within. We get to remember that it lives within us. And when we take time to step into this midline of remembrance, that place between that really holds us, where we can allow what has ruffled our feathers and the purity of love to find a place where they can both be held. Yet we remember that at the deepest essence, love and light is really the source of all things. And so that includes your fear. And so if fear is allowed to be held in the big picture, the big energy, the big pathway of love, then it starts to expand, and love will allow it to grow in a way that serves. And so we'll just take this mantra and channel in whatever you've got going on today. That, you know, you could be totally in the love theater, you could be grappling with some of the ways of the world or your personal circumstances. And can we bring ourselves into this midline? Deep breath in, soft breath out. Inhale, one Om, one mantra. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tihi Jasi. Oh. Help yourself stay strong on the inside and open yourself to who you are on the outside. If you release your hands, and just one of our wise yogis today, we practiced a heart opener. So we took 2 blocks and we took them pretty wide, and you can take them as far behind you as you want. I have my blocks on high and they're quite wide, and I'd like you to just root down into your seat, pull the top of your throat back. It's called your hyoid bone, right below your chin. Slide it back so that your ears become more in alignment with your upper arm bones, and your upper arm bones move towards your back body. Now strengthen the pelvic floor. So you want to feel your pubic bone and your tailbone. And then as you anchor down, just think of yourself like a flame in a candle that has something to root into, a clear pathway, something that holds it. And now let your breath fan the flame and just rise up into the beauty of you. You can gently move your head around. Energy wants to move. Holding on to things is our human nature. And then we'll keep the lightness, keep the brightness, and help yourself to all 4s. Set up your hands so they're clear and concise in the way each finger spreads uniformly from the center of your palm, so that you are also reminded that all of you comes from this deep resource, and it's collected into the core. As you tone your knees in, lift your navel And now we'll just round in and pull the belly up so that your waistline lifts. And try to find the resource, the strength of your arms like pillars in such a way that you can puff the back of your heart and release your head, neck, and shoulders. And we'll take cat tilt and breathe in cat tilt. Come into a uniform pattern of breath. And again, you can start to move the neck and the head a little bit and just ask anything that you're holding onto that may not be in service of your highest self moving forward in a clear and concise way. Allow it to release, or at least to be embraced. All right, now lift the top of your throat so it lines up with your heart. And extend your right leg back behind you. Lift that leg up, squaring your hips. Zip up the belly, so you'll have to push down through the left knee and both hands. And then from here, you'll hold your strength, squeeze to the midline with your inner thighs as you stretch the left arm forward. Drop into the power of your breath. And the natural effect of a balancing pose is it tends to raise adrenaline. It accesses that part of the brain that can easily drop into fear, the fear of falling or losing balance. And you get to smooth it out with the love embrace of your breath, the strength inside your core. So you'll lift your waistline a little higher and then reach that left hand down, right knee down. As you tuck your toes, push the floor away and take a sit bone expansion. So it's like a cat tilt reaching toward your hips. Press down through the palms, tone the knees to the midline, and try to float from the strength in your core. Reach from the core of the belly, the strength in the hips down through your legs, and let that now radiate clearly through the upper body, the line of energy that extends out from the heart through the hands. Inhale forward. Cat tilt. And we'll use cat tilt for many, many breaths. And just drop in and hold your inner strength. You can continue to tone the belly and let that just deep, deep resonance of who you are on the inside soften the grip around your neck, head, and shoulders. And with conscious awareness, we'll now pull ourselves into alignment. So lifting the pit of the throat upward towards the base of your skull until your throat lines up with your heart. Now stretch left leg back. As you press down through all three parts that will hold you, squeeze the inner thighs together, push down even more. So a little organic energy reaching from hip to right knee and through both arms equally. Press down more through left index finger and thumb pad as you reach the right arm forward. And now just listen to your breath. Squeeze the midline between the inner thighs. And just fall in love with the power of you radiating down and out. And there's little wobbles and bobbles, and that gets smoothed out with the knowing that you are held. And we'll reach right hand down, left knee down, push the sit bones back. Keep the navel lifting even though you're going towards a cat tilt. Then squeeze the knees into the midline between. Puff the waistline even more as you wrap the tailbone down towards the back of the knees. Gently push through your palms to float the wrist, elbow, and armpit up into where they connect into the core of your shoulders. Perfect. Inhale forward. Now we'll stretch and reach the right leg up outside the wrist. I have short arms, so I use fingertips, or you can use blocks or flat palms. Pick up the back knee and squeeze to the midline with your inner thighs, and that will help lift the hips a little bit. Like you just did in spinal balancing pose, we'll extend the right arm, but first I want you to pull your outer right hip in towards the inner left thigh, and then extend. As you press down through your legs, now just really reach down through the strength, and in a clear and concise way, we open up the pathway and breathe. Place right hand, left hand, trust your back leg, and we'll find a plank pose. Line yourself up in plank so that you feel strong on the inside and really loving and open on the outer being. Bend your knees forward. From the heart, root through the hands, downward dog, and the sit bones push back like they did when you were on all fours. Sit bones root back. This time we will try to lift the hips a little higher so that you get curve in the lumbar spine. Squeeze your ankles to midline, your wrists towards midline. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, knees to the mat. Deep loving breath, just open to the breath. And then the left foot can step outside the wrist. Set yourself up here. Pull the outer front hip towards the inner back leg and see if you can squeeze the midline even as you lift the back knee and leg. Strengthen your core, tone the belly in, and then use that strength to push down through the legs, squeezing the inner thighs towards the midline as you extend left arm forward. Square hips, reaching left hip towards the back of the mat, and push through the leg bones to extend and radiate an open-hearted pathway. And we'll place left hand inside, right hand to meet, trust the back leg, and we find plank. Little adjustments, deep breaths, squeezing your feet and your inner thighs to the midline. So I like to take plank with my feet together. Hug that midline. Sweetly firm the energy between your wrists. So if you could squeeze right at the base of the thumb towards each other in such a way that if your hands would move, they would turn out, but they're placed. And bend the knees. Access the currency of your breath and let it move you fluidly and strongly up into dog. Feet together. Pressing down through both hands and the ball of your left foot. We'll find that same long, strong right leg lifting up and back. And now you could find a hamstring stretch on the left. If it feels like you're in an adventurous place and you want to pop up onto the fingertips of your left hand, keep reaching down from the heart through both arms and push the floor away and see if you can light yourself up in your own radiance. Please lower right leg, left hand, inhale to your knees, and we'll stretch the hips way back all the way to child's pose. Let your forehead rest, forearms down. And invite child's pose to get stronger on the inside. So a gentle tone of the knees towards the space between them, anchoring the outer upper hips back towards your heels and down. Use your exhalations to strengthen the belly and to soften the tension around your neck, head, and skull. Pure potential. Little seed of love, plant it. Nourish it. And invite it to show you the way. We come forward all fours. Take your time, create a dog pose. Hug the midline with your feet, your ankles. Seat yourself into the love of the heart as the arm bones connect to your shoulders. Reaching down through both hands and right foot. Strong, long. Inhale, lifting left leg. Squeeze the inner thighs to the midline. And you find that plumb line that extends from the heart through both arms equally, up through your torso to your tailbone, and all the way through the inside seam of your legs to your heels. You want to push down through right tippy fingers and lift the palm. Access the loving force of your breath. And again, we just create a little bit of that opportunity to recognize that life is a balancing act. All right, come down with both hand and foot, and this time we walk forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Deep breath in. Exhale. Acclimate to the standing posture. Deep breath in. Long breath out. One more. Beautiful. I'll step the left foot partway forward, and I've got 2 blocks in front of me. If you don't, you can set them up for yourself. Bow forward with your heart, and then we'll start to hug the midline with your back inner thigh and see if you can stretch the toes forward. And maybe that back leg lifts. Spread your toes. Tone the belly. And we'll take cactus arms. Eyes down in one place. Extend the hands to your blocks. Deep breath in, long breath out. Remember that child's pose. Pick up the belly button and pull it into your back body, and then squeeze the inner thighs even more. Up to you. Would you like to go back to the hands-free version or stay here? Know who you are, and then address whatever fears came up when you heard the invitation to set yourself free. Step it way back, pyramid pose. Blocks can come with you. Straighten now the front leg, and I want you to push more from big toe down and spread that energy from big toe to outer ankle as you straighten your front leg. And we'll bend the back knee to really push the hips back. A clear pathway forward often means knowing how to use the tools that we're given. And sometimes we don't remember we have them. Inner spiral and outer spiral. So we're in a deep inner spiral of the front leg. Muscular energy supports inner spiral. So pull everything up into the hips. Organic energy supports outer spiral. So more from the front baby toe to the inner ankle. Create that line from baby toe to inner ankle as you use organic energy to push through the back leg and bend the front knee. And then we'll cycle it through big toe to outer ankle as you pull the legs up to straighten. From the hips, press from baby toe to inner heel as you lengthen through back leg to rebend. Now you can lengthen your upper body. So grow the pathway out of. Now reach that outer front hip in towards the back inner thigh even more. Shift your blocks. Trust yourself. And in just pure delight of knowing you can, we push down and come back up. Flying warrior. Squeeze the midline with your inner thighs, and maybe the hands lift up, cactus. Ooh, even if you have to touch down, that's fine. This time we're going to warrior one. So set the back foot and pull yourself in, muscular energy. From the power of organic energy, send it down. Baby toe, inner ankle, light it up through the heart, and then let that energy grow. Deep breath in here. On the exhale, downward dog. Inhale, plank. All the way down to the belly. Drop into your breath, inner thighs strong, tailbone long, lift up into your heart. And up and back dog pose. And we'll take 5 good breaths. Engage the next inhalation to lift the heels up over the balls of the feet, shift your gaze forward, and we'll step. Uttanasana. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, acclimate to Tadasana. Active feet, steady shins, thighs in, back and wide, root the tailbone, and then let that strength inside root you. Keep hugging the midline with your legs, even with your palms, so that you can soften the energy on the outer body. Now we'll step the right foot part way and dare to take the heart forward. Shift it out past the front toes. Set your gaze, deepen your breath. And when the clear path reveals itself, a loving breath lifts the back leg, navel, arms wide to cactus. And it's an act of trust as you reach down to deepen the pose. But it's even more stable. Squeeze the inner thighs. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Drop back into presence and clarity. And we'll tap the back toes down for pyramid. Deeply bend the back knee and push the hips way back. Pull more power from big toe to outer ankles, as if that foot would move and the hips could broaden. Use that to open the hamstring. And now press more from baby toe to inner ankle. That will guide the knee wide as you reach long through the back leg. Pull the heart forward. And now we'll just take this cycle and draw ourselves in, getting strong, and open out from that inner resource. And just find your flow here. And let's prepare in a loving way that's going to help you use that back leg and trust the front leg for a transition. Flying warrior. Zip up the core, honor the midline at the inner thighs, and can you even squeeze the outer front hip in a little more? Now that front big toe, that might be a focal point for you where you just keep using the mantra, root the big toe, root the big toe, root the big toe. And maybe the arms rise. Trust your breath, loving breath. Tap it down, warrior one footprint. Squeeze in to who you are. Let that push down as a loving plant, like how the seed that you planted just starts to grow roots, and let that start to open up in a clear, concise way. And then we know how to let it go and release. And dog pose, 5 breaths. Mm-hmm. Slowly inhale to your knees and exhale, child's pose. You can let the forearms rest and just rotate the palms open to the sky so you're receptive. The energy of this particular day is asking us to choose a lane, to really know what will help guide us into committed, discerning choice. How can love be the lane we signal ourselves into? Please move your hands back by your knees. Inhale, sit up tall. And we'll drop down to the hips. If you need a blanket under your hips, give yourself that loving choice. And we'll take Janu Shirshasana. So we'll take right leg, pull it in, and we'll extend the left leg. Lean to the bent leg side. Actually, lean away from the bent leg side first and pull that inner groin, sit bone back and wide. And then we'll do the straight leg. Now you can take the seated tree pose version where you push the thigh and the femur bone and the sole of your foot together, or you can go more towards shoelace side, up to you. Push down through the straight leg heel, push down through all the parts that are going to help support you, and then pull that straight leg into your body. Squeeze the midline between foot and thigh, and soften the energy around the neck, head, and shoulders. Broaden your elbows. And let go of pigeonholing yourself into your deepest pose, and let the breath help you explore how to lovingly move into the pose. Keep drawing into the midline between thigh and foot, foot and thigh, and that will help square your hips. And after a few breaths, you might find your body saying yes. And some of you need to work more on that lumbar curve, where you just lift up and let the lumbar curve lift up through the heart. The strength of the upper back can help hold you. So as the elbows broaden, the shoulder blades connect. And in that deep connection to the midline of the upper body, the lower body can find some space. Inhale, sit up tall. Take both hands, and I'm going to use both blocks. I really just loved that intuitive pose we found at the beginning of the class today. Sit up tall. On my best days, on my good days, I remember to invite myself to be a clear and concise channel for the highest good and upliftment of myself and all beings. On my more fear-based days, I sometimes don't even brush my hair before I leave the house. I don't take care of myself. I'm just more saddled by the to-dos of life. And I just know that setting this intention and dropping into the body is probably the best choice I've ever made every day. Up yourself into side two. And I invite you to explore this side as if it's its whole own being, its whole own relationship to you. That's another energetic that's coming up in what's going on in the big picture of life. So we'll take an inner spiral, the bent leg. Can we clarify our relationships right now and really drop into those that are supporting and nurturing, and those that aren't? It's time to just let them dissolve and let go, or they're not important right now. We'll pull in the straight leg and let that hold you in this strength. I want you to feel that, really feel how you're not just pulling in, but you're finding the midline between foot and thigh. And then that strength will let you turn around your inner light. The first phase of a pose is just lining up with the pose and the breath, letting go of preconceived notions and drop into the relationship of it. And let that love in the form of breath waves guide you into the offering. I teach a lot of privates and a lot of yoga. Any given day, maybe 5 classes. And I can use the same sequence or same poses, but because of the person and their body and what's going on in their life, it's a radically different experience. So you get to drop in and feel what's going on for you, and how do you balance out what you're aware of. And you need tools like hugging the midline, drawing back into remembrance. How much will help you. If you feel like, for me, a big stretch right here in this lower back of the bent leg and hip, if I hug in more, I can expand the sensation more uniformly through my whole body. We don't want to feel something just in one place typically. You want to see how to spread the love. And And also hold your core strength so that the parts that are less supported, like the neck, head, shoulders, can soften because they're held below. Inhale to rise up. Take that heart opener pose, root down, and all the parts that touch and the blocks, and just lift up out of the shape. Deep exhale. You can make a sound with your exhale that's going to make offering, actually. Maybe it's not a release, it's an offering. If there's some good that's revealed itself, like send it back and send it out to the ethers for those who need to pick up on it. We'll take the straight leg and help it fold in. And this may not be your favorite leg in front. So notice that and use your fingers, pick up your hips, try to set the pubic bone down. And then the tailbone holds you strong. And it's those two actions that are going to help release tension in your hips. And if you have that tension, sit upon a blanket, help yourself out. Held in core strength, rooted in practice and purpose, we can sit up and let the arms float like lilies on a pond. When you draw the top of the throat back, the core strength will find even more support. I'm going to take a particular mudra where the index fingers come together, and we'll take the right hand in towards the belly and the left hand in towards the heart. And the two, where the teardrops of the index finger and thumb unite, they point up and down towards each other. And you breathe into that space. And we want the energy that's being channeled from the hand on bottom to help call the energy from the hips towards the heart. And we want the energy from the hand that's on top to help draw the energy from the crown down through the heart, where the two energies collide in a midline. You are an embodied being, held in the grace of a deep, deeply loving presence. It is you and it moves through you, and it's also bigger than you. Mm. Release your hands. You can keep the mudra, the palms up or down, up to you. Index fingers to thumb. And presence yourself behind your eyes, between the brows and the ears. And with each breath, you can contemplate, what does it mean to choose love today? for you. How does love live inside you already? And if love can include and hold your fears, how does that help you open and soften to the ability to presence yourself in the world around you? And how does that allow you to hold compassion? Please draw your hands to heart center. Breathe with yourself. And we'll take the sound of Om and give it a little love. So you can either infuse the sound with love, or you can choose to use love as the pranava, the mantra. Deep breath in, loving breath out. Deep breath in. Love. Namaste. Thank you. And as you move into your holidays with your friends and your families, I hope this practice can hold you and give you what you need to share in the most authentic way.
Thanks, honey. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Enjoy Europe.
I'm in Boise right now.
In where?
Boise with my
you're
daughter,
in
Louise. Four
Great.
kids. And
Oh,
Christmas
awesome.
with my grandkids. So
Oh,
love you.
love you too. Have fun.
Love you, Tiff.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Tiff.
You're welcome.
It was nice practicing with you all this morning. Usually I'm teaching at this time, but I'm in New Jersey with my family. So thank you so much for this amazing practice.
You're welcome. I'm glad you joined us, and I'm glad I got to see. Was that your dad?
Yeah. Yeah. He came in, he's like, can you pause this? I was like, no, Dad. Yeah, pause it. Much love to you all.